Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It's the Full 40 with Chris and Rob, part of the Nova Insider Network, back with you after a thrilling 71-61 victory over Ohio State. Rob Dormish is currently doing the Sweet 16 dance, because that's right, the Cats dance on to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. We're here to break it down for you, tell you all about what you need to know about Michigan, walk you through the rest of the tournament. We got a lot to cover in this episode. And Rob, we only have 45 minutes. So
let's fucking go. It's going to be the fullest of full 40s. We are here for it.
Quit your dancing. Quit your dancing. And let me ask you, before we get into our ad read, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, we're continuing the trend. It had been working so well. And frankly, it's the only thing I have in my house. Teeling. It's terrific. And look, again, they're not even paying us, but it's great whiskey. Highly recommend it. Gives you a little taste of the motherland, in my case, from Ireland.
There you go.
I am actually Irish. So in fact.
I went back to Blue Label. I drank it last week. I also drank a lot of other things in the ensuing days.
We did.
In Las Vegas, and I'm still recovering from that experience. That being said, home now. Last week, we talked about the first weekend I drank Blue Label. I'm going to stick with the Blue Label this weekend. Worked the first time. Hopefully it works the second.
I was going to say, if you listen to the last podcast, you heard some of the alcohol that we were imbibing, and it was an interesting experience. Although I'm told it didn't come across as such, but we were several drinks in at that point. It was a good day. It was a good weekend.
Yeah, it was hard to quantify how many drinks in we were because we had consumed a lot previous.
Yeah.
Had taken some time off. And then we're starting to ramp back up. So like determining where you were in the cycle of ebb and flow of drinking was difficult to do when we recorded last time.
Again, we're just doing God's work. Giving people what they want.
That being said, today's episode of the Full 40 is brought to you by Home Field. Home Field's apparel. Home Field's back. We said on the last podcast, they're back with a great sponsorship. They want people to buy more gear. And candidly, I got to be honest with you guys, you should buy more gear. I am currently wearing this old school 1980s V step through Wildcat with the Villanova down. I guess it's like a little bit of like a, what would you call this? Like a Henley sweater type of situation? Yeah, something like that.
I think it's a sweatshirt. Henley
sweatshirt,
buttons, but that's okay. We'll give you a pass. It's a sweatshirt.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a great sweatshirt.
It's a great sweatshirt. Looks really good. Extraordinarily comfortable, cozy and warm.
Comfy.
Cozy and warm, but not like oppressively warm. So it's like, good on a day like today. It's about 60 degrees, 55, 60 degrees here in New Jersey. And it's been a great thing to wear around all day. So I've enjoyed it. So they make great stuff, great quality stuff. And if you use the code, I think it ends tomorrow or the next day, Nova Mania.
22nd tomorrow.
Yeah. You even get a 10% discount, even if you're a returning customer. If you want to take advantage of the 15% discount for new customers, use the code FULL40, FULL40, to get 15% off if you are a new customer to Home Field. And again, Nova Mania, if you want 10% off, but that code expires March 22nd. We're going to get this episode up as fast as we can, but if you don't listen to it on Tuesday, you're fucked out of that first one. But still, you talked about this in the last episode. The prices of Home Field stuff is very reasonable.
Quite reasonable. I mean, not to knock our bookstore, but it's a good deal. Yeah, anyway.
Right.
All right. Home Field, you got to check it out. It's a good deal.
Agreed. They got like 14 different things you can buy. Buy them all. I might just go buy them all.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Enough talk about what we're wearing. Let's talk about what happened just yesterday, which we watched in various places. Me on a plane, off a plane, you in a bar, about to get on a plane.
Yep.
But it just made both of our Sundays. Long day of travel, but you're in a good mood when the Wildcats win the second round game to put them through to yet another Sweet 16. This narrative, and I just want to mention this once because it's absolutely absurd. The narrative people keep bringing up about Wildcats flaming out in the second round is absurd. We have 2 national titles in the last 5 years. Shut the fuck up. It's not a narrative anymore. But anyway, if you needed more evidence to put that to bed, Cats get it done. Ohio State, nothing. One Big Ten rival to the next. Michigan coming up next. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I mean,
Amazing.
every year we play in the tournament, we seem to march through like all of the members of one conference. And
That's so true. Wow. You're right.
So I remember we won the Big 12 tournament championship in the 2018 tournament where we beat West Virginia, Texas Tech, and Kansas in back-to-back games. So we'll just march through a couple teams in the Big Ten. No big deal. They're pretty used to losing as it is. So, I mean, it's fine. That being said, we had to talk about this a little bit because I got to be honest with you. Getting on a plane, leaving Las Vegas to come home on a Sunday is objectively like top 2 worst flights to be on as like a human being. And it's not number 2. Right? It's an objectively terrible experience. And I'm sitting there, my flight's a little bit delayed. A couple Bud Lights and a Villanova victory to advance to the Sweet 16 was fucking glorious. I was feeling no pain on my way home. They had a little bit of the direct TV situation on a United flight, watched some games, got some in-flight Wi-Fi, tweeted a bunch on the rest of the way home. So 4 hours, it was easy. It was
and could you imagine? So it's already a bad flight to start. Could you imagine had we lost?
Oh, I would have fucking go back to Vegas and just decided
I need another week.
Lose all my money and become a vagabond and disappear off the face of the earth.
Phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, obviously we just want to gloat a little bit because this was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the Cats looked good. Like, call it what it is. Like, this team, we talked about this team's ceiling throughout the year, rising, falling, rising, and looking across the bracket, you've got to feel pretty good at this point. The first round game, I don't know, you kind of chalk it up to whatever. It's a first round game. You're playing a 15 seed. You stomp them. You get the job done, slow start. Second round game, you're playing a good opponent, and a good coach. And we led basically wire to wire. Yeah, it got a little bit dicey at times. But what you saw is this team got it together. And that was the knock at the midpoint of the season, right? It's like we couldn't close things out. Yeah, you want to see us close it out a little bit more than we did and not let teams back in. But these guys got the job done, right? I mean, Eric, Big Dixon here, maybe the shot of the season. It's probably the shot of the season so far, right?
Yeah, I mean, before that, you'd put what? You'd say, was it Colin Gillespie's shot against Providence? Was it,
probably
trying to go through kind of or Colin Gillespie's shots against Creighton. But I mean, that Dixon 3 with about 90 seconds left in the game to put us up 8 was the dagger. That punched our ticket into the Sweet 16. It was awesome. It's just incredible.
It really was. And yeah, I mean, I'm bullish on this team. And my PSA to the Nova fans, I don't think we need to tell people. I feel like we try to keep our expectations in check a lot more than most people, but giddy up. It's the second weekend. The team has looked good. Knock on wood. The bracket is falling our way. So the opportunity is there. These guys just have to take advantage of it. And I feel like this team is kind of primed to take advantage of it. I mean, if I look around the scores from the last game, Dixon with 13, Samuel 7. Oh, sorry. Can we stop on Jermaine? Jermaine is playing
Jamarsh.
It's Jamarsh.
Jamarchuary.
Jamarchuary. It's not even a month, but I'm rolling with it. I like it. But he's playing absolutely unleashed right now. Hyper efficient, 7 of 9, amazing. Colin adding 20. Caleb continuing to do Caleb things. Wasn't that efficient, but he got 11 points. I mean, the guys are it's clicking. Slater a little quiet, but what are you going to do? Not everybody can score.
That was foul trouble, though. Yeah, you write that off.
I know.
The refs fucking took him out of the game because we played that game 5-on-8. That was a fucking disaster show by the referees. If the referees don't insert themselves into that game, we win that game by 15-20, period. period.
Yeah.
They inserted themselves into the first half of that game when the game started to become a 10-point game. And we could talk reasons, we could talk whatever. The reality situation is it happened. I'm not like we don't have to complain that much because we won, so whatever. But like the refs inserted themselves into that game and it was a fucking joke. The offensive foul that Justin Moore picked up in the early part of that game and some of the knick-knack shit that they called on Slater was just total garbage. And so whatever, it's over. Like we won, but like we had to go 5-on-8 because the refs were wearing fucking scarlet and gray or whatever the hell they call their colors.
And I will say it wasn't a worst case scenario, but the foul trouble we were in was real foul trouble across a lot of players. So you had to know that was going to rear its head at some point during the tournament, and you had to know it was going to be tricky with the short bench. The team was able to do it even without their, seventh man at this point, Jordan Longino, still being kind of not available. So the fact that we were able to get through it, fight through this, and deal with a comeback, and still end up with the 10-point win. I mean, that's it. Look, it's not 2018 level of efficiency, but we should be feeling good about this.
But when the time comes that we play Michigan, we'll have gone 7 straight weeks where the only game that we lost was by 2 at UConn.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this team's playing good and clicking at the right time? Like, there's your fucking evidence. Like winning all your games is a pretty good fucking evidence that this team is playing really good basketball right now. And Jay said it himself in a post-game interview I watched with John Fanton. He said the Big East tournament was really helpful for the guys that they knew that they struggled early against St. John's, but like they kind of came together, rallied around each other, went through the experience of like having to fight back from a big deficit. They went through the experience of a tight game where it felt like it got tighter late. They went through the experience of a total rock fight. So he basically said, like, look, this team has had to fight through some adversity late and learn how to win through that adversity late. And he feels like they're coming together and playing their best basketball right now, which is always the stated goal. By the end of the season, play your best. And yeah, I mean, this team's got 6 guys who play pretty much all the minutes. There is not a top end NBA talent on the roster. There is a very high floor to this roster, though. And the one thing that I've been reading coming out of this game was a couple of articles have referred to Villanova as the machine because we've always been called by John Rothstein, like especially in this era, like, oh, Villanova's a 500 Fortune 500 basketball company. It runs itself. That's kind of like the going joke. The guys look like they're a business trip, etc. But it's kind of evolved a little bit into just calling it like a machine, like just like the machine. Just you turn the machine on and it works. Like every person serves its function, and they all do what they need to do to get the job done. And I will say that it was a surgical, mechanical performance against Ohio State all the way through. It got tight there down the end. They played absolutely desperate. Credit to them, where they were able to chip into that lead and get it a little bit close down the stretch. And then they ran out of gas because we just kept doing what we do. Colin turned it on at one point where we were kind of meandering through. He forced the issue, got a couple buckets, got to the free throw line, was able to kind of stem the tide a little bit, if you will. They had to keep putting up jumpers. We kept, making sure that they didn't hit too many of them down the stretch. And then we went down the other end of the floor. And if we didn't make a bucket, we used 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 50 seconds of game clock on rebounding, etc., to just keep salting the game away. And then by the end of it, as soon as Dixon hit that 3, it was over.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I want to follow up on one point you made. You said, I feel like this is like a 2016 comment that there's not a high-end NBA talent on this. And maybe there's not a lotto pick. Here's my hot take for you. I think there are 2 guys who are playing right now who are going to make it in the NBA in a couple years. One is going to be Eric Dixon. If Eric Dixon continues to grow the way that he has over the past year, that ceiling, I think he works his way in. Second one, just because I love what I've seen in the short bursts, is Jordan Longino. I think he's got it. He's got enough runway. He's got a few years left. I like the attitude. I like the aggressiveness that he has. And he's got an NBA body too. I don't know if you know, but he played quarterback in high school. So he clearly is tough and knows how to take a hit. But no, in all seriousness, I think those are two guys who you might look back on in a couple of years and be like, oh yeah, we made that comment and now they're in the league. So
yeah, this to me wasn't, I was careful in what I said. I was not saying,
oh no,
this
you're
is not
wrong.
a team.
You're wrong. I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out.
This is not a team that has no NBA talent. I'll go a different direction than you. I think Colin Gillespie's going to play NBA minutes by the time the next few years rolls around, in a similar fashion to the way Arcidiacono did. And in fact, like the Arcidiacono path actually paves a nice path for Colin. Do I think he gets drafted? Maybe he gets drafted late second if Villanova continues to run and he keeps shooting the ball well.
Yeah.
But like, a team just is like, all right, I'll take some leadership at the end of this, and as opposed to taking a total fucking flyer. I'll take the guy who's proven himself Big East Player of the Year twice in a row, who like is by all accounts a pro mentality already, and can shoot the ball and plays his ass off and does everything that I want him to do as a coach. Like, I could see him getting that. I could also see him kind of getting onto that, post-draft thing where he gets picked up by a team. They put him to a G League roster. He gets on a two-way contract. He graduates to the league, has a cup of tea with the team, whatever. Colin Gillespie's going to play NBA minutes in the next 5 years. That's my belief.
Fair.
Like, I just don't know if there's top-end NBA talent. Eric Dixon's a good thing. If he becomes a 4, if he gets better moving laterally and guarding laterally, like he's not a league 5, he's not a league 4 technically. He's probably more of a league 3. But like, if he can do those things and work on his lateral motion, which I think he can, as opposed to like a guy like Swider who we dogged in previous years. Like, I actually think Dixon has it. I think he just was built to be more of a 4 or 5 guy. Totally. And could just change his body as he's already done.
Yeah.
Justin Moore will play in the league at some point in time too. That's the other guy. Yeah. Samuels and Slater could do it, but like, my point is that there isn't like Mikal Bridges. There's not a lot.
We're going full backtrack here. Just all the way back. Just all the way back.
You tried to call me out on it, and I'm telling you what my point is.
I'm here for it.
Anyway.
All right.
Anyway, my point is this is a mechanical team.
Yeah. Can we talk a minute just about like how great this is from a fan perspective? This is the Monday after a round and your team is still in it is like one of the best feelings, because you're all just set up for like, we're still in this. I've got 3 to 4 days of basically just kind of celebrate the team, feel good about it, consume as much content as I can about the team, and just think about how everybody's writing you off. Because that's the narrative in every fan's mind right now. Is nobody's giving us the respect. Like, this is ours to lose. And that's how I feel right now. We've got 2 natties under Coach Wright, and like, let's call it what it is. We get plenty of respect, but the team's still a little bit disrespected, and I'm here for it. Like, it's Monday. I'm just like, yep, yeah, re-rank the Sweet 16. Oh, we're not a 1 seed now? Go fuck yourself. Like, that's what this is about. This is easily my favorite time of the year. As a fan, you've absolutely got to be pumped up. Only one-upped by next Monday if we're still in it and punching our ticket to New Orleans.
Yeah. Now, next Monday is awesome, and then Final Four Sunday is absolutely outrageous. If you win the Final Four game, that's the following Sunday. If you're in the Final Four site area, is just the most outrageous Sunday of all time. It's just the best Sunday.
It's the day after. It's just like unlimited potential is in your head. And that's all
you're thinking about the unlimited potential, but you're not on game day yet. So you're not yet nervous about the game. You're just totally fucking psyched that you're in the game and have an opportunity, 1 game, 40 minutes to win a national championship. So anyway, but I guess your point though is, we should feel very fortunate to be Villanova fans. And I think that's a great point. We know what it feels like to be involved in the Final Four Sunday. We certainly know what it feels like to be still in the tournament as we get to the Sweet 16, because let's count them off. Jay Wright has been here for 21 years ish, right? 2005, 2006, 2008, 2009, 2016, 2018, 2021, 2022. 8 Sweet 16s in the last 21 years.
It's pretty good.
Phenomenal hit rate to the Sweet 16, and as you said, the opportunity is out there to make an Elite Eight, but we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that in a little bit. But
should we wait? Should we do our awards?
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like we're getting on.
We should. I'm going to give the Shaq Fit Man Play of the Week to Dixon.
It has to be
the shot.
The shot.
Period.
It's arguably the biggest shot in Villanova history.
Many people are saying. No, but that's funny that you said that, because that's exactly the type of bullshit comment that would get written by some idiot who forgot somewhere along the way that Villanova hit the greatest shot in college basketball history. That's something that you would totally read.
Yeah, but no, there's no argument here. Dixon just steps up, buries it. Oh, we've said all season we wanted to see more 3-point shooting, and man, I loved it. Next.
All right, who's your alpha dog?
It's interesting. I think, and it's almost maybe like a culmination of the two games. I think I'm going to go Samuels. I like Samuels. 17 and 8, and had to deal with a lot of working inside with some talented Ohio State players. And he picked up 0 personal fouls.
In a game where the refs were looking for every fucking excuse possible.
7 of 9. I mean, hyper efficient. I mentioned it earlier in the podcast. He is playing well. He is playing smart. If we are going to get this Jermaine throughout the tournament, look the fuck out. Jamarchuary, baby. We're here.
Jamarchuary. I love it. Samuels, I'm going with it too. I like it.
Nobody gets to pass the fucking ball award because we won in March. Next.
Sweet 16. We won in March.
No.
Shouts to Colin Gillespie. Yeah. Shouts to Colin Gillespie. 20 points, 4 assists, 1 turnover. It's
very good.
Just incredible. 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Cats goes 17 of 20. This is a legitimate watch now. Cats go 17 of 20 from the free throw line. Good for 85% on the game. We are now up to 82.6%, I believe, free throw rate on the season. We have some wriggle room, and we are ahead right now to be the greatest free throw shooting team of all time.
That's pretty cool. That said, I'll trade that title for a natty. But
correct. But usually those things would go hand in hand. I have a feeling that if we win the national championship, we will also definitely be the greatest free throw shooting team.
I have a hunch you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's a good trade. I want both.
That would be kind of crazy though, because assuming that happens, we would have the most. If the record still stands, we'd have the most 3-pointers in a season, which we got in 2018, and then have the greatest free throw percentage. That's pretty cool.
I think we're good at shooting.
I think we're pretty good. Takeaway. Yeah, I like that.
All right, so that's good for the Ohio State wrap up. I don't think we need to go down. Look, it was the game that we talked about. The game, first half, we were awesome. The second half, we gave away a little bit. They went on a run. We closed the door. That's the end of the story.
Yeah. Winners next.
All right. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the bracket and how it all shook out in the NCAA's this first weekend, because we kind of talked briefly about it on our last podcast, but as you mentioned earlier, we went for like 27 minutes and had absolutely nothing in the tank at the end of that. So let's just kind of whip around. I think some of the headlines in the tournament are that you got to tip your hat to the ACC, who by all accounts had a weak year, and then punched 3 teams into the Sweet 16. Duke, you expected.
Yep.
But then UNC came out and just beat the crap out of Baylor, until they didn't beat the crap out of Baylor, but they got the job done anyway.
Yeah. What?
And they got the job done in overtime versus the 1 seed Baylor's. UNC's in the Sweet 16. They play UCLA. Duke has to play Texas Tech. We'll come back to that in a little bit. And then Miami was a surprise entrant, knocking off Auburn. Auburn in many people's eyes was like the 4th 1 seed over Baylor or whatever. There was a conversation there. They stumbled a little bit late, but whatever. Auburn played literally their worst game of the season statistically. You want to talk about shitting the bed. They played their worst game of the season statistically, and Miami advances to play Iowa State. The Big 12 also did pretty good, advancing 3 teams into the Sweet 16 with Texas Tech, Kansas, and the aforementioned Iowa State. So those are probably the conferences that have the most bragging rights, if you will. The conferences that have the least bragging rights are, so stop me if you've heard this before, but the Big Ten, who only get Michigan out of nowhere and Purdue into the who is not out of nowhere. That's kind of expected.
Yeah.
And Purdue into the Sweet 16. Everybody else lost. Illinois got candidly throttled by Houston.
Yeah.
Wisconsin got handled by Iowa State. And around the conference there, they just did not have a good tournament again. And it's quite an interesting sight to see. I mean, obviously we beat Ohio State, so they just couldn't get it done again.
Yep. It's disappointing, but you kind of love to see it.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good about us too. And I think we were having this conversation about like, what's the Big East takeaway? Because the Big East got 2, and obviously we want to talk a little bit about the Big East too. But you look around, you say, all right, we got 2, Big Ten got 2, Big Ten had higher expectations. All right, ACC got 3, fine. Big 12 got 3, fine. But I don't know. My takeaway is like, all right, Big East kind of held serve.
Big East held serve. Look, at the end of the day, they got their top 2 seeds into the Sweet 16. They get one more win. We get to 6-4. You assume 2 losses. They get to 6, and if one more win, and you guarantee a minimum of 500 performance in the NCAA tournament across your teams. That's not bad. I mean, a tournament where pretty much everyone but one team has to lose. That's a pretty good result for the conference. But I want to go back to the other conference that really had nothing to show for, probably actually worse than the Big Ten from an expectation standpoint, was the SEC. Kentucky obviously gets blown out of the tournament, not blown out, but they crushed out of the tournament by St. Peter's, who is the Cinderella story of the tournament so far, who is still alive, who will play Purdue in the Sweet 16. But Auburn loses. Arkansas advanced, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the only one. Arkansas was the only one that advanced. Tennessee, who everyone was excited about, lost, and they just did not have a good tournament at all.
No, that's it. That's all she wrote.
So the Big Ten and the SEC were the conferences that did bad. The Big 12 and the ACC are the conferences that did good. And like your point, and let's turn to them next. The Big East kind of held serve.
Yeah.
So the headliners for the Big East, Villanova does the job. That was kind of the expectation.
Yeah.
Providence, on the other hand, everyone expected to get blown out by South Dakota State in their first round. They make decent work of them, win by 9. Providence then goes on to play Richmond in the round of 32 and absolutely fucking demolishes them by 28 points, 79-51. And Rob, the game wasn't even that close. They just totally controlled that game the entire way through, and they looked awesome. Providence looked really, really good. And coming off of that comment, I'll talk for a second about Creighton, who had a really tough-minded performance this weekend to get past San Diego State, somehow, despite losing Kalkbrenner late in that game, and then fought their ass off and really kind of put a scare into KU in the round of 32 game.
Yeah.
Based on the way KU looked against Creighton, if Providence can play with the same level of fervor that Creighton did against Kansas, Providence can win that game. Providence can beat Kansas. And then you look at Providence's path. They get the winner of the Miami 10 seed, Iowa State 11 seed matchup. If Providence can somehow put it together and get past KU here, Providence has a legitimately good shot to make a Final Four run.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Anytime you beat a number 1 seed, you've got a legitimate shot to make a final.
Sure,
of course. But I think your point is totally fair. They've been playing well. They've silenced the doubters. If you're a Providence fan, you're obviously optimistic. You're feeling that same vibe that we talked about earlier. But from a Providence season expectation standpoint and a tournament expectation standpoint, fully have checked the box on that one. They've proven that they are a real team that deserved that number 4 seed. Now, obviously, we want to see them give KU really a knockout punch, which would be phenomenal. But yeah, look, they get it done I don't know. You reference records. To me, I'm like, look, if the Big East gets 2 teams into the Sweet 16 and 1 into the Elite 8, that's great. We wanted, maybe we talked about 3. Brian was trying to keep us honest before the podcast. Maybe we predicted 3 or 1 and 3. To me, you get 2, looking at how everybody else played out, you get 2 into the Sweet 16, 1 into the Elite 8, we're good.
Yeah, so I agree. I will add that the Big East disappointments, let me talk about a little bit about this. On the other side of the coin, Marquette, we talked about that on the last podcast. I don't want to fucking talk about them again. They didn't even fucking show up.
We don't talk about losers on this podcast.
UConn is the team that is the disappointment. UConn is the story of the Big East in terms of disappointment this year. Yeah. They had all the makings of a 5 seed that could have made a Sweet 16, maybe plus run. They played New Mexico State, who took Arkansas to the wire. This is a team that should have won 2 games, in my opinion. And to flame out and candidly look like shit doing it was a pretty bad knock on their season that had otherwise been trending the right direction. We're probably back in terms of being a program. Like, yeah, we're not going to be a 1-2 seed national championship contender every year, but this was like the story up. And now Dan Hurley is going to have to answer some questions about his tournament resume. And so can UConn continue to put it together? Can they advance out of the first game, let alone the first weekend? So UConn, definitely a very disappointing performance there. The other team that we did not get to cover on the last podcast because it hadn't happened yet was Seton Hall TCU. And if you've been following the Seton Hall Pirates all year, you know that the moment Mark Turgeon was fired from the Maryland job, that Willard's name had been coming up as like the potential successor candidate for Turgeon in Maryland the entire season. And it turned out to be a little bit of a distraction there especially down the stretch for Seton Hall, because Kevin Willard's name got mentioned for every fucking job. And it makes you wonder, because it's not just like fans spouting it, it's like rumor mill type stuff that's being fed by blue checks who are kind of in the industry. And it kind of makes you wonder in retrospect how much Willard's agent, camp, whatever you want to call it, was doing behind the scenes to kind of get some action, so to speak, on the Willard like demand, if you will. And it came across in this last game because they already have announced Willard is left Seton Hall and is the coach of Maryland. That happened today. So a press conference is coming tomorrow to introduce him as the new head coach of Maryland. You wonder how much of this was already done before the game, because to go out there and for as tough and as tough-minded as Seton Hall has always played throughout the season, even if they didn't get it done in the NCAA tournament, they always played a team with toughness. They lose 69-42.
It's not great.
Just a no-show. 42 points. Like, I feel like you just go and play basketball and for 40 minutes and you have to score 42 points. Like, to do that against TCU in an 8-9 matchup is really, really sorely disappointing. Yeah. And I have to believe that Willard was out the door before that. And I think that played a role in a distraction for that team. To boot, when he got asked in his post-game press conference about it, he said, I'll be honest with you, we're talking to people, blah, 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 whatever. Like it was textbook Willard from the point of being honest. But then he goes and says, well, I hope Shaheen Holloway gets hired. Shaheen Holloway's St. Peter's Peacocks are still fucking playing in the NCAA
Super
tournament.
weird.
Why did he put that on them? I just thought the whole exit and the whole thing was done very poorly by Willard. A lot of people have pointed out that that's just Willard, Kevin being Kevin, if you will. But I just thought that whole thing was garbage. And Willard did a good job rebuilding Seton Hall. It's a credit is due. Credit's needed when credit's due. And his season where he probably could have made a Final Four run got canceled because of COVID. But I think Seton Hall fans, if they could get Shaheen Holloway, I think they got to be happy with how this all kind of played out. They got a guy who rebuilt the program, who got a successor in place, who just made a NCAA tournament run, and ultimately Kevin Willard could not get the job done in the NCAA. So as far as I'm concerned, I think Seton Hall fans would be happy with how this all turned out.
All right. Well, as much as you like to talk about Seton Hall, because you are honestly the biggest Seton Hall homer for somebody who's not actually a Seton Hall alum that I know. This is not a Seton Hall podcast.
No, so it's not. But we're talking Big East.
Yeah, we did
and
it.
The other thing that we got to mention is Xavier hires fucking Sean Miller. So let's fucking go.
That's a good.
That was fucking
Very
awesome.
Excited about that.
And just to be clear, I hope he fucking cheats a lot. I hope people are like, oh, he's going to pay the players and cheat and whatever. Good. I hope he does.
Yeah, Patrick Ewing needs to learn how to cheat. Let me tell you.
I want them to be good. Yeah.
I agree.
Please, Sean Miller, go cheat.
Cheat.
Like your Arizona teams were dope. Like that was fucking sick. Like get a DeAndre Ayton into Xavier and then let's have a conversation. Like I'm all about
it. Nico Mannion. Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
Javon Quinterly. We tried that one. Whoops.
That was his first choice for a reason.
It was for a reason. All right. Should we move along? We do need to do our next ad read because we are double sponsored these days.
Yes, we are a big double sponsored guy. This episode is also brought to you by the Roundhouse Band. And Rob, I don't know if you have the notes up here, but
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So this episode brought to you by the Roundhouse Band, as Chris mentioned. This band is amazing. Chris and I have seen them both in person. It doesn't matter what kind of event you're looking for, whether it's a wedding, corporate event, fundraiser, special occasion, 9-piece band. They play all different kinds of music. They've got your classics. You've got everything from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, today. I know I just went from 90s to today, but we'll do it 90s to today. They really keep everybody on the dance floor. They appeal to all crowds. We've seen them at a couple different venues, and they absolutely have everybody out of their seats. So when you're looking to add that special finishing touch to whatever event it is, the Roundhouse Band has you covered in the tri-state area. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, they've got it for you. So look, if you're looking to create some timeless memories, the Roundhouse Band, absolutely your answer. For more information about them, definitely just check out their website. It's roundhouseband.net, and that's roundhouseband.net, roundhouseband.net. And you can actually get a 10% discount when you contact them and mention that you heard about them on the podcast. So just mention that you heard about them on the Full 40 and you'll get 10% off what is already an unbelievable value for an awesome band and what I guarantee will be a terrific experience.
It's a 9-piece band, right? 9-piece band.
Yeah, it's legit.
When we saw them at the wedding that we went to, they were fucking sick. I was like basically danced the whole entire night away. I was a sweaty mess by the end of that. Look like Sean Miller coaching. How about that?
So true.
How about that? Full circle. Okay, before we talk about our game versus Michigan, we have to talk about our game versus Michigan. Unfortunately, the Villanova women's team, who had a thrilling victory in their 6-11 matchup, they made the NCAA tournament as an 11 seed. We mentioned that on the first weekend podcast. They beat BYU in their 6-11 matchup in a thrilling game, but unfortunately fall 64-49 to the Michigan Wolverines. Yes, they played Michigan, which is kind
Super
of hilarious.
Yeah,
So
very
hilarious.
strange.
But they fall to the Michigan Wolverines, ending their season. But you got to tip your cap to Denise Dillon, Maddie Segrist, and the Villanova Wildcats on an important season for the program, and a season that indicates that the program is trending in a really, really positive direction. And I'm excited to see that curve continue going forward. So congratulations to them on a terrific season. But now it's our men's team turn to avenge them. So
I like that. Good motivation. Avenging.
Yes.
If anyone is a fan of the Avengers, it's this guy.
Yeah, big Avengers guy. Big Marvel guy. But anyway, we play Michigan, 7:29 p.m. TBS. 2-seeded Villanova, 11-seeded Michigan in San Antonio. Tell me if you've heard of Villanova playing Michigan in San Antonio before.
Cats in Texas. This is where we belong. Oh my gosh, I've got absolute chills. There is just something about going back to Texas at this point. It feels like home. And what I love about this is that the players have fully embraced this too. You see the post, you see, oh, Cats in Texas, like, you know what's coming. This is a thing. So get on board. We are, oh my gosh. I mean, I was talking to our friend Bill the other day. I was talking to Nicole a little bit too, not quite as much, but I got to do that. I was like, should we go to San Antonio? Should we pull the trigger? Like, I don't know. Checking out the flights. They're not cheap, per usual. Are there like 2 flights into San Antonio like every week? It's absolutely absurd. But I'm jacked up for it. I assume they're playing in. No,
they're playing in where the Spurs play.
Oh, the Alamo Dome. Okay, cool.
No, they're not playing in the Alamo Dome.
Is that not the Alamo Dome?
No, the Alamo Dome is where we played in the Final Four. They're not playing in that stadium. They're playing in just like a regular old NBA arena.
Oh, I assumed the Alamo Dome was where the Spurs played. Oh no, you're right. You're right.
No, it's like some it's some named after some shit. Like,
all right, well, whatever.
Yeah, but whatever. We're playing in San Antonio. That's the point. Stick to the message.
Terrible city, by the way. But hey, I'm glad we're.
Oh, the Riverwalk was nice.
No, the Riverwalk is like Times Square, but in Texas. It's
I know,
terrible.
but
it's terrible.
Like that's what they have. That's what they have.
Doesn't make it good.
I had a good time in Texas. That's all I know.
I had a good time in Texas.
No,
it wasn't because of the Riverwalk though.
I can't speak to the city because I don't remember much of it. I had a good time. So if anyone ever asks me, I'm like, "You ever been to San Antonio?" Yeah, I had a great time there.
City notwithstanding, but yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, I had an awesome time in San Antonio that time I went.
Oh my god!
Same with Houston.
Truth.
Anyway,
Michigan.
This is an interesting game. This is quite an interesting game because we are going to play the best player, arguably the biggest matchup nightmare player. EJ Liddell is a fundamentally better player than Hunter Dickinson overall when you consider college basketball. But from a matchup standpoint, Hunter Dickinson is going to be one of the hardest matchups we've played all year. So that is the number one thing that you got to start with, right? Is when you're talking Michigan, you're talking Juwan Howard's the coach, you're talking Phil Martelli's also on the sidelines. He's kind of the tactician, behind the whole operation.
Oh, Phil Martelli's the tactician? I feel good about this.
Yeah, right. Right. But like they have a good experience, deep bench on their coaching staff, and they got Hunter Dickinson. I want to talk about the players.
Yeah, I know. But like some people may not know Hunter Dickinson. Hunter Dickinson is a 7'1" center out of Alexandria, Virginia. Actually played high school with the one and only Justin Moore.
There you go.
So interesting. But yeah, to set the stage, he's huge. He's absolutely huge. That's what you're getting at.
You said 7'1". This guy plays at all, scored at all 3 levels too. He's incredible. He's so good. He plays 32 minutes a game, averages 18. He basically averages 19 points, 8 rebounds a game, 2 assists, a block and a half a game. Doesn't turn the ball over too much. And he has a field goal percentage of 57%, shoots 33% from beyond the arc, and an 80% free throw shooter. This guy is a phenomenal, by all accounts, a phenomenal fucking player, and he is an absolute nightmare matchup for us because we just don't have that type of size. The good thing is that our big guys can guard the perimeter, so that's where they kind of do a little damage. Is they can kind of get Dickinson out into the 3-point line. That's going to be comfortable enough for us, but they have the opportunity to exploit us down low, and perhaps pick up a lot of rebounds because if there's one thing that we struggle with, it's closing out possessions with a rebound. Yeah. So Hunter Dickinson is going to be a problem all night. And if we can just avoid it becoming the Hunter Dickinson show, we should be fine. Because the rest of their team is not really blow you away good. They have good talent. Eli Brooks is solid. Devontae Jones is solid. Caleb Houston is solid.
It's a big team though.
It's a big team.
So Hunter Dickinson 7-1. They've got Musa Diabate, however you pronounce it, is 6'11" and also plays 25, 30 minutes a game as well. So there's plenty of size to go around. You may have a little bit of a Purdue-like feel when they go Twin Towers, which, like you said, we've been able to deal with. It's not going to be easy though, for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't think of this game as like we should win this game. Like, are they an 11 seed in my head? No, in my head they're more of like a 4-5 team because like they were a team that was kind of like played bad all season long, got it together late, made the NCAA tournament, and they're playing really good. And they also were like, expected to be a top 5 team, top 10 team in the beginning of this season. So like, yeah, I mean, credit when credit's due, right? Like they are a good team. They don't play particularly fast. They're about 200th roughly in tempo all across the country. So they're not like, this is, again, not going to be a terribly uncomfortable matchup. They want to speed us up more than like we're going to try and slow the game down. They're going to try and speed us up a little bit, but they're not going to turn this into a total track meet either. They got athletes, but they're not like amazing. Like, again, it kind of sounds a little bit, talk track sounds a little bit like Ohio State, but Ohio State's best player was a guy we could guard, right? Like Liddell still got his, but like that's a guy we can guard. Like Dickinson, we don't have a great answer for. So it does get like that. And to the point on Purdue, he's a little bit different because he actually stretches the floor. Whereas like a guy like Zach Edey is just a post player, more along the lines of like a Sanogo, like a post player like that. Nunji on Xavier is maybe your best analog to.
There's a reference that no one who listens to the podcast got.
No, Zach Nunji and Xavier is.
Dude, you're pulling it. You're going deep on this one. That's a deep cut right now.
But like maybe even like a Kalkbrenner, like I'm trying to pull out like a little bit of like really big guys.
You're probably right.
Who can stretch the floor a little bit. But he's way better than all of those guys.
Yeah.
So like this game, the name of this game is how much can we control Hunter Dickinson? If Hunter Dickinson doesn't go off for like 25 plus, then we should be okay in this game. If he goes off for like a lot, 30-point game, etc., this is going to become like the Hunter Dickinson game, right? Like, and you want to avoid that. That's kind of everything that is to say. Everyone has us favored by 5. Ken Pom has us favored by 5. Haslam Metrics has us favored by 5. Evan Maya has us favored by like 6. So like everyone's got us favored by like a low, middle of the road margin. And there's an expectation, a 70% chance across like the metrics. I'm averaging a bunch together that we win this game. Look, I expect to win this game because I expect to put forth a good performance, and Jay Wright has like 4 days to prepare. So I expect to win this game. It's just going to be a weird matchup because we have to deal with that. We have to deal with the consequences of playing a guy who's just like such a matchup problem for us. And we got to somehow find a way to limit that.
Yeah. The good thing is they don't shoot a ton of threes and they're not particularly amazing at it either. So even if they say, hey, they're working inside, knock on wood, if our 3-point shots are falling just numerically, it's a little bit of an advantage there. That's obviously a big if, We haven't been all that prolific at it the past 2 games, but that is certainly one thing to kind of look for. That look, a 3 is always more than 2. So if that works, we're probably in pretty good shape today or Thursday, not today.
Agreed.
What do you think? We pull it out?
Yeah. I'm not predicting us to lose to an 11 seed. Even though I don't think of them as an 11, I'm not predicting us to lose this game. I think we get it done. This is a golden opportunity. We have the opportunity to play not a 3 seed, and candidly, a team that beat a 3 seed, but not a team that's playing quite like that caliber on a consistent basis. Yes, they're playing better of late. No, that doesn't mean that they are a top 12 team in the country. I think that we beat these guys. I think we beat that 5-point spread, candidly.
Wow.
Do I think that it's going to be a 10-point game like the Ohio State game was? No, but I think it could be like I'll call it a 4-point game, and then late free throws, etc., kind of pulls it out to like, I'll call it 8. I think we win this game by a score of 71-63.
Wow. Okay. I think it ends up to be tighter. I think this Michigan team shows up. I think this is like a 1 or 2 point victory. I think this goes like, I don't know, 70-68, something like that.
Okay. I like it. You still got us winning.
Still got us winning. Yeah.
So then what's ahead? What's ahead real quick before we wrap up? We play the winner of Houston and Arizona. So Arizona sneaks past TCU in overtime yesterday. There was an exciting game. They got a benefit of a couple calls down the stretch, but you can't really take anything away from them. They made the plays that they had to make. In Arizona advanced. That continues to be a matchup problem that I look at. Houston also took care of business this weekend, where everyone kind of counted them out. I know I did, and they were incredible. So I think that Arizona-Houston game is going to be a very interesting game to watch. I think it follows our game, and it has to follow our game. But yeah, we played the earlier of the 2 games. So I'm excited to see the result of that. If we get past Michigan, then we're going to get a good team. You got to beat a good team to make the Final Four.
And we will definitely be back, assuming, knock on wood, if we win on Thursday, we'll absolutely be dropping a pod, I don't know, late Thursday night, Friday, something like that. So we'll give you what you're looking for.
Okay, Rob, before we wrap up, right now, you have to pick your Final Four. Get another chance to do it over again.
Yeah, because it didn't work out well the last time. Okay, so who do I got? Well, I had Gonzaga there before. I'm going to stick with Gonzaga. I don't think I had us, but I'm going to say fuck it, and let's go Villanova as my other one. And then who do I have left? I've got the East. I think I liked Purdue. I think I liked Purdue earlier, so I'm going to stick with Purdue just for consistency. Also, my mom went to Purdue, fun fact. And then in the Midwest, we've got, I'd love to say Providence, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'll go Kansas. So I've got Kansas, Purdue, Nova, Gonzaga.
All right. I like it. I got Villanova, keeping that. I'm picking Providence. I think Providence is going to beat KU, and I think Providence will roll whoever they play in that Elite Eight game.
Okay.
Villanova and Providence are going to play in the Final Four. That'd be fucking wild.
That'd be so wild. Holy shit.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
Holy shit. Wow, that'd be crazy.
And then I don't know. I have this feeling about this North Carolina team that they're going to find a way to get it done. So I think North Carolina is going to get it done. And then I'm going to say Gonzaga. But there's no way this is not a fun Final Four. Because Texas Tech can get it done, because Texas Tech has looked good too. Texas Tech looked good in their first game, but then looked a little bit weaker in their Notre Dame game. Duke all of a sudden is looking kind of good. Could you imagine a Duke UNC Final Four and a Villanova Providence Final Four?
Holy shit. That would be awesome. That'd be so awesome. Holy cow.
But I'm going to stick with Gonzaga. I think Duke is going to – I actually think I picked Texas Tech in my bracket. But I think Duke is going to find a way to get it done and go to the Elite Eight, and they're going to play Gonzaga, and it's going to be talked about as like a pass the baton type of game where a few Gonzaga beats K's Duke, and that's kind of K's last game. Doesn't make the Final Four, but makes a deep run. And Mark Few is kind of talked about, even though it's bullshit because we know it's Jay. Like he's viewed as like the successor, the next inheritor of like the guy in college hoops who gets all the good recruits and wins a lot of games. So I can see that playing out. So Gonzaga, Carolina.
Which by the way, Mark Few is like the same age as Jay. He's 59.
I know. Gonzaga, Carolina, Villanova, Providence. Weird fucking Final Four.
I love it. I'm here for
Weird Final Four. So then Gonzaga beats UNC in a rematch of the 2017 championship. And then, oh God, Villanova's got to beat Providence in that game. We will never hear the end of it if they don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Villanova, Gonzaga in the championship.
Okay. I'll mirror the Villanova Gonzaga in the championship. And if Villanova's in the championship, why not? Now I just need to revise my pick. I mean, look, it's the second weekend, so fuck it. I'm all in. Let's go.
Fuck it. Anything else that we got to talk about before we leave?
Sadiq Bey scored 51 points the other day. We forgot to mention. It's awesome.
Yeah. Sadiq Bey
is really good.
Like
he's going to make the monies. He's going to make the monies.
All the monies.
The monies. All right. Let's bring it home.
Good for Sadiq. All right, guys. We'll be with you. I'll be on Twitter. Maybe I'll do a Spaces sometime this week. Who knows? I've been known to do that. Pulled together like a 50, 60 person Spaces yesterday in the airport. So I've been known to space out sometimes. All right, guys. Thank you.
That's fucking terrible.
Yeah. But it was good. We had a good time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And as always, let's go Nova.